everybody for being here. We're so excited to introduce our guest tonight. Oshayla Sananda is a galactic shaman, spiritual ascension trainer, activator of spiritual gifts, and an embodiment coach. Waxéla works with her clients in multiple dimensions, creating and holding space for each one to receive exactly what is needed to move into a higher state of awareness and to clear old blocks. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Got some weird breathing there for a second, but welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kyle. What a beautiful way to begin. I appreciate that so much. And that just really helped me drop into my heart. And I just love starting in that sacred space. So thank you. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate being in this space. I appreciate the just the beautiful faces that are present right now. And I'm grateful to be able to be here and share.
Yeah, so do you want to just share on anything you think that's flowing through you that you think would promote growth in the group, or we can ask questions, whatever works best.
Yeah, I'd love to start with the sharing, and I have actually I have a lot of things, but I'm just going to go with what's most present for me right now, and then I'll open up and we'll have a dialogue or conversation.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, for starters, if you're not familiar with me and my work, my name's wa-shay-la, and I do ascension training, spiritual ascension, and I'm a galactic shaman. And I just really want to say what a privilege it is that we get to explore higher consciousness. And we get to explore, just having the opportunity to explore spiritual ascension is such a gift when, so many people, if you don't have your basics met, if you don't have, food and shelter, there's no room for that. So it's truly a privilege to get to explore spirituality, shamanism, galactic beingness. And so I just want to start there and say what a gift it is and how grateful I am to get to do this work that is my passion work, my purpose work, and it's really my desire to bring everybody into their purpose work and be an example for that, an example of being. And so just for starters, when I talk about ascension, I am talking really about embodiment of the truth of our divinity. I'm not talking about, I know in some religious traditions, ascension is thought of as going out and going up and, away or somewhere else. And it's the opposite in the way that I teach it. It's about coming in and realizing the fullness of who we are. And that is, we are the divine embodied as, human beings. And that's a gift. And it's exciting, it's fun, it's playful, it's terrifying sometimes. It's all of those things. And there's no right or wrong thing because we're here to experience as, it's kind of like the big joke or the big lie that we're individuals, but we're actually all of it. And we are all each other. And we are all part of the divine, and we are all the divine. So the contemplation or spiritual ascension is really about awakening to that. And it's not a one-time or, a class that you take and you've got it figured out. It's an unfolding, a peeling of layers, and it goes on and on and on. And as long as you're here, you're in the process. And I think when we leave here, we're still in the process. So I like to look at it as an opportunity to explore being. So just for starters, so we're all on the same page about when I talk about ascension, that's really what I'm talking about, that exploration of being. And so all of the transformational teachers that I've studied and probably that have ever been are about one thing. They have one thing in common, and that is about being, who we're being, how we're being, what we're being, just the experience of being, whether it's Ram Dass or Neville Goddard or Bruce Lipton or Dr. Joe Dispenza or Gandhi or Buddha or Jesus, or, you fill in the blank. They're all talking about being. And this is really what I want to talk about with you today, about getting to be and choose who we're being in this experience of life. And and it's so deep. It's on one hand so simple, and on the other hand such a deep concept, because we do get to choose, and our lives are evident of what we've chosen. So when we look around us, it's all a result of our being. And our being is causing the experience that we're having in this life. And I think once we can start to grasp that concept, we can have a lot of fun here. It gets to be a lot of fun. And when something happens that's like, wait, I don't think I created that, I don't want that, how do we get to be to have a different result? And we're always attracting to us from our state of being, our frequency. Our energetic state of being is our frequency, the way that I use it. So it's an exploration of being and the process of becoming in the human experience. And so basically what we've done is we have descended, from the divine, or from all that is, and we've sort of condensed and descended into just this sort of tiny container. And then we believed that this is what we are. And, really, we've all heard, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but like unpacking that, what does that even mean? I just kind of want to play with this a little bit with all of you today and talk about some of the things that have come up for me in this realm lately. Something that I've experienced a lot of in my life is walk-ins. So beings that have walked into bodies that maybe they didn't necessarily start out as the personality in that body, but they walked in. Sometimes they come and go quickly, and sometimes they come and stay for a long time. Sometimes they come and stay permanently. I actually am, my next book is going to be about, or in the genre of walk-ins. I've got really clear downloads that's it. So if anyone has awesome stories to share with me, hit me up, like, let's have a conversation, because I'm collecting data and stories as I go. But just that alone shows us, the experience of being can be very fluid. It can change in a moment. It can change, drastically sometimes, and then it can go back. So it's this ebb and flow of being. And then within that, if you've ever done a past life regression or heard people talk about past life regressions, so many people, when they're regressed, go to remembering being famous people like Cleopatra, or Mother Mary, or fill in the blank, any famous person. And you might say, well, okay, if that was, if she was Cleopatra, then how could that person also be that? Well, we are all shapeshifters, and so we can shapeshift and try on any personality that has ever been or ever will be, or that is currently now in the present. And we, by design, by being all that is, by our divinity contains it all, we can actually choose to experience being other beings. Especially, we especially would like to experience being big energies that have already come and gone in our history. And so we get to play with those concepts too, and start to adopt. We can adopt ways of being that we admire about others, and we can let go of ways of being that we see in ourselves that we would rather not be. And And the same is true in galactic shamanism. So I'm a galactic shaman, meaning I channel and interact with galactics, and that's something that's been going on my entire life. And I was very attached to being a Syrian starseed. So I had memories of being from Sirius. I have memories. I could tell you what it looks like, what the beings are like there, what we did, what the environment is like, all of these things, because I have memories. And then I started learning a lot about Andromedans and realized at some point, oh, I'm also Andromedan. But if I was too attached to being Syrian, I wouldn't be able to get myself as Andromedan. And then I started to understand myself as other beings as well. Once I gave up attachment to being only one way, to being only Syrian. And so what I'm inviting you to do is just kind of be open-minded in that we can try on any of it and all of it in any given moment, and not to be too attached to any specific way of being or any specific, if you have a starseed heritage, if you're attached to being maybe a heritage here on the planet. We're all doing those DNA kits now where they tell you, you're actually all these things you never thought that you were. Like, how could I be that? My genetics, Scandinavian. I can't be African, or whatever, fill in the blank, but we're all of it, right? And I think a lot of people started waking up to that. The same is true on multiple dimensions. And so I really wanted to tie this into masks and the wearing of masks. So, right now with COVID, we've all had experience with wearing masks, resisting masks, or, liking certain masks, not liking others. And the masks are like our ways of being that we've adopted. When we get too attached, to a certain way of being, we can't take the mask off anymore. It's like it densifies into our personality, and we start to say things like, well, I'm just stubborn, or I'm just this, or I'm just that, and label our personalities get rigid. And so like that's the mask. The masks are all of these ways that we cover up the truth of who we're being. Or we adopt stories about, well, I'm a certain way, I'm this way, I'm that way, or I have this disease or that ailment. And so that stops me from being the thing that I want to be. We have a lot of stories about why we're not, the person or the being that we would like to be, our ideal selves, right? So the masks are our limitations that we get to let go of and explore, what masks am I ready to let go of, to try on something new, to try on a way of being that's actually more visible and in service to more people, in service to the divine. And so I have my own personal story that just happened. I literally just came back from a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat that I was at this weekend. And so over the last several years, maybe 3 years, I have stepped into being visible. And I was always behind the scenes. I was comfortable behind the scenes. I liked being like just doing my thing, one-on-one clients here and there, and teaching meditation workshops, but not in front of people, because there were a lot of things that I felt like if people knew, if a lot of people knew that I was maybe speaking with galactics, or, like whatever, all these things about me that maybe I don't want everyone to know, then I would have to be a certain way. I had limited beliefs about what it meant to be in front of people. And I decided to conquer that about 3 or 4 years ago. I decided, okay, that's not who I want to be, and that's not how I want to be in the world anymore, because I have a bigger purpose, and I know I have service to do. I know I'm here to serve, and I've got to get over it. And so I started working toward getting over it. So in the last couple of years, I've written a book. I've done multiple summits. I have a podcast now. I'm visible. I'm visible a lot. And that was uncomfortable to step into. In fact, when my ebook dropped, I can remember my whole energy just like, I felt like it dropped out of the base of my spine, because I was terrified to be known in that way. And there were things in my book that, I hadn't even told my parents or my family. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the whole world's going to know who I am now, like so much more about me. But I just want to say this weekend experience that I had was so affirming and eye-opening in that I was being recognized within that community. And I had a number of people, I actually had 6 encounters with people coming up to me saying, wa-shay-la. And just the fact that they can say my name is, like most people, takes a while to get it. If you see it written, it's spelled kind of strangely. So wa-shay-la, you don't know me, but I know you. And I had this experience sitting at lunch yesterday with some friends, and we're just having a nice lunch. And this happened. A woman came to me and she sat down next to me and she said, Oshayla, you don't know me, but I know you, and I need to tell you something about your work. And she explained that, she'd been doing lots of different transformational work. She'd been in the Dr. Joe workshops, and she said, but I had an experience last year in Mount Shasta, and I was visited by an Arcturian, and this work didn't help me with that. She's like, I found your book. I started looking around and I found your book and I read it. And then I started following you and your videos. And she's like, it's the only thing that made me feel sane in a time where I thought I might be crazy, completely crazy. And I had an experience in Shasta as well, that I wrote about, and just getting that, like, realizing what I experience is meant to be shared, and it can actually help other people and transform other people, even the craziest, weirdest stuff. It really, so after that, she walked away and I'm sitting at a table having lunch with all these people, and I just started crying. And I just, because it had happened multiple times at that point, but that story really landed for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm gonna blow, because now I'm faced with, I get emails and I get, like, from people, but this is like in person, being recognized and seen and then acknowledged. And I realized there's still this part of me that's like, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not good enough to be approached, at a seminar. And who am I to be changing lives or acknowledged in this way? And I realized, oh, wow, there's still a part of me that's not being not worthy. And this is a choice point. So I can choose to step back, or I can choose to step powerfully forward and be even more in my truth and share even more of, my wackiest stories. And just I like to say, just let your freak flag fly, because somebody out there is going to see it and it is going to be a lighthouse for them. And we all have our unique experiences for a purpose. And I really believe that we get to have our unique experiences and the things that we are drawn to and love to do, and even the things that make us like the crazy, weird one. And I'm sure a lot of people here can relate to being the woo-woo person in their crowd, or the unusual, the unicorn. And I really want to share how important it is to embrace those ways of being and letting yourself just honor whatever it is that's unique about you. And then if you're feeling called to being visible or to share it in a bigger way, now is the time. There is so much energy just flooding our reality, flooding our planet. The ascension of the earth is happening. The opportunity to participate in new earth energies and frequencies is here and now. And this is a time to just really let yourself just go, take off the masks. I don't mean like when you go to the grocery store, you probably still have to wear your mask, but take off those ways of being that are the masks that have kept you apart from everybody else, that have stopped you from having intimacy with other people in your relationships. Take off those limiting self-beliefs. And even if they're there, to honor them, but step courageously into who you're here to be, because now is the time like never before. And there are portals opening and there are doorways into the new earth right now. And this is our opportunity, our time to step courageously into first ourselves and expand who we're being. And then we get to have an ascended experience right here in the human body, here and now. And so that's,
Wow.
that's kind of the foundation of what I
Hmm.
want to share. I have a lot
Oh,
more
that
that I
was
could go off
uh,
on, but that's the,
highly motivational. That was incredible. Uh,
oh, thank you.
so what we do now is we open it up to questions, and I want to go back to something that you had talked about on walk-ins, because I'm curious if you could expand a little bit. I specifically, I've been talking a lot lately about it to my friends because I'm trying to like gain some clarity. But when I was 28, like I feel like I pretty much like died and became an entirely new being.
Mm.
And over the last 5 years, I feel like an entirely different being than I was before before that happened, to the point where I can't even actually relate to that person that I used to be in this lifetime. Is that what a walk-in is?
That's a very common walk-in experience. And
Mm,
so I mean, short answer is yes. That's like an exchange, a full exchange, a walk-in exchange. They're all
yeah,
different types.
yeah,
But when a being decides, okay, I'm done. I've fulfilled my purpose, or I'm ready to go to some, whatever. There are lots of reasons why that might happen. An agreement, a deal can basically be made. So there's, human bodies are valuable. In the galactic, in the universe, human bodies are very valuable. And if there's an opportunity not to waste it, to have a being come in and get to experience being human, and especially without having to go through the process of birth and childhood, infancy and childhood, that's tedious for like especially higher dimensional spirits. They don't want to go through all that forgetting. So sometimes an agreement is made where there's a direct exchange, where the original owner of the body goes and a new being comes in. Now, a lot of times that can be an aspect of that person's higher self. At the highest level, again, it's all us, it's all you, it's all me, we're all of it. So it's not really a completely different being, but in the realm of like being a human and personalities, it could be. So what the walk-in gets to do is take over with the agreement to fulfill any of your life's commitments, missions, contracts that hasn't been fulfilled, and take care of the people that are already in your life. And the walk-in gets to keep all of the memories, usually, or at least all relevant memories, to help to assist in integration and walking into that body. And they don't have their own as humans, so they need some foundation. So that is one way that it can happen.
wow. Yeah, that resonated so deeply, that answer. I feel that that's entirely my situation. So thank you for elaborating on that. I never really heard anybody explain it so incredibly.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you can't just go to the grocery store and start asking like, hey, am I a walk-in? So it takes a special person qualified to answer these questions. So thank you. I've been struggling with that one, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome.
all right. So what we'll do now is take anybody's questions for Oshayla. So if you just raise your hand, your Zoom hand, uh, we'll just start unmuting anybody that has a question. So
Yeah,
feel
and
free.
I'll also say, don't be shy, because I'm open to answering any, pretty much anything, any types of questions. So
Awesome.
feel free to ask whatever.
Randy has a question. So whenever you're ready, Randy.
Well, good evening. I really appreciated that. Very enlightening, and the word shaman always resonates with me, and I'm drawn to that very strongly, and then galactic shaman really just has an even deeper pull. What was there a particular process, or how did you come to be drawn to becoming a shaman, and then specifically a galactic shaman?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, I know how that feels when you're like, oh, there's something in that for me. So thank you, Randy, for that question. So I, back in my early 20s, early to mid 20s, I was already, I'd had a lot of experiences. I was doing a lot of consciousness exploration, and I met someone. Well, I'll preface that with I was sort of given breadcrumbs by the divine or by my guidance about Kauai, and I was living in Dallas, Texas, and I kept getting these
Yay,
hits.
Texas.
Yeah, yeah. I was living in Dallas at the time. So I kept getting these hits on Kauai, and I'd hear people talking about Kauai. Magically, on my desk one day, a magazine opened up to the Nepali Coast Trail in Kauai, just appeared on my desk. Like, I don't know who put it there, anything. I'd hear, I'd turn on the television and there'd be a story about Kauai. So I'm like, I'm going to Kauai, clearly. And I was started to arrange my life to be gone for 3 months, and just go explore Kauai. And so in the meantime, all of my friends kept telling me about this shaman that they had met and they wanted me to meet. And so I'm like, oh, cool, hopefully I will. And so one day I came home from work, and my neighbor, I was in a sort of an apartment complex called Moon Mansion, an artist community, and a neighbor came over and said, hey, that shaman's at our apartment. Come on over and meet him. So I met this shaman and had a really magical conversation. At the end of the conversation, he said, I am going to Kauai and I'd like you to come with me. And I said, well, I'm coming with you. And I ended up studying with him for 3 years. He also took me to his mentor's land, who is a Lakota medicine woman. They were both walk-ins, by the way. She was a full walk-in where the body had died, and she was in a body bag being life flighted. Well, it was over, but she was being life flighted. They'd put her in a body bag, and she came into the body and sat up and said, where are you taking me? And scared the pilot and the attendants, pretty severely. And I believe they wrote a book about her experience because she healed that body so quickly. But so I was trained in galactic shamanism through them, but I didn't know it was called that yet. Just a few years ago, when I was practicing, I wanted to make a distinction between earth shamanism, or the more traditional styles of shamanism, and what I do. Because while I do take people into other dimensions and I do take people, on journeys, I practice very differently than what we would think of as a native or an earth based shamanism practice. And so I asked my guides, what do I call myself? And they said, you're a galactic shaman. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a galactic shaman. Since then, I've met a lot of galactic shamans, and I've found people online who also identify as that. So it is an actual thing. My training came in that way, and also direct from, the guides and the galactics. I don't, it's not like I went to school and got a certificate in galactic shamanism. It was pretty much direct download.
So if you have, um, I guess, a direction, if someone just feels a pull towards shamanism, do you have advice?
Yeah, go for it. I would say definitely there are so many trainings out there on, depending on the type of shamanism that you're drawn to. There are a lot of wonderful trainings. There are a lot of people out there teaching. I also have a training. It's Ascension Training, but we do get into a little galactic shamanism in that. And it's all about the unfolding and opening up to being more than, you know, than human,
Hmm.
basically, than more than the third dimensional
Sure,
experience
sure.
of life on planet Earth. And so, yeah, I'm not going to name a specific, person, because there are so many teachers and there's so many wonderful teachers. I think it's a matter of sort of listening and feeling into each person's work, and then letting your heart guide you to the right teacher for you. And you'll feel it. Like when you meet your teacher, you meet the right person, you
You know it.
feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it. There's a resonance. You just know it.
Yeah.
So I
Thank
would,
you.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Randy. I will say it's interesting parallel. I had a call to go to Hawaii for a while, and I did, and I met my spirit teacher out there. I stayed there for a year, and now my mentor is from the Lakota. So I felt so
Oh, wow.
parallel with everything you just said. I see Patricia with her hand up.
Yeah,
Never-
Patricia. Where are you?
Hello.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi. Oh, I just love your energy, Waxela. It's very, very, I felt like I was shamanistic in other lifetimes too. I'm very drawn to that information. It's been an amazing lifetime. But I think I had a walk-in experience too. And my son said, Mom, you changed. I don't know who you are anymore. And then I think that dissipated too. That just changed. And I'm wondering, I think I'm just downloading higher aspects of myself. And it's amazing. I talk to my body, talk to my higher self. It's just an amazing experience now. It's just awesome. Each day is a new journey. It's a new journey.
Yeah, beautiful. That is another, style of walk-in. There can be temporary walk-ins too,
Yes.
where and the embodiment, you might have been having an experience of embodying your higher aspects.
Okay.
They're your higher self in a new and bigger way,
Mhm.
and trying that on to the extent that your son was like, wait, who are you? and then maybe you either integrated that, or maybe it was a little too much, and that part of yourself's like, oh, I'm going to hang out a little farther out here because I don't really want to,
Yeah.
I do want to be recognized, so there are all these like kind of dances that we can do with the embodiment of higher self aspects.
Mhm.
I believe that's also called integrating is it monad? I have some research to do in that area, but integrating the higher self.
Yes.
And we're all doing that when we're on this journey. We're all doing that all the time, and we can be conscious of it, or sometimes less conscious of it. But sometimes we get a big drop in.
Mm,
It's very amazing, the wisdom, the awareness I feel. I'm in, my dream states are just wild. I have amazing dreams. Sometimes I'm working in laboratories because I was a med tech for 30 years, and I'm doing tests in laboratories, or I'm having different relationships with people. And it's amazing. It's just totally amazing experience. But it's just learning to trust the process and know that I am light. I am the light of God's source. And my journey is unique to me, and I honor everyone else's journey, and my family, as well, my friends.
Beautiful. Yes, you are. Yes, that's gorgeous. And as you were speaking, I was remembering an experience I just had over the weekend in a really deep meditation that I think is relevant to what you just shared. And I sort of awakened in what would be an Egyptian temple. So
Mhm.
I became conscious in an Egyptian temple. I was myself, but I was also not myself. And
Yeah.
I was surrounded by, it was Isis, Thoth, uh, Sekhmet. There was a whole bunch of them were there, Anubis, and a number of others. And as a consciousness, I went around to each one of those Egyptian gods, and I tried on being them. So I got to walk in to each of them and have and feel the experience of being them. And I just spent a few moments with each one, but it's kind of like an internal moment where time was
Mhm.
irrelevant.
Mhm.
And then when I was finished with each of them, it was my turn to choose my form in that space. And oh my gosh, and it felt so amazing. I was sort of a phoenix dragon angel being, and I was fiery and feathery and light at the same time. And I realized, wow, here I am getting to be this, and yet even this experience of a godlike being is so dense and so small compared to
Mhm.
what we really are.
Yes.
And
Yes. And I feel I've had past lives in Egypt too. Feel
yeah,
very connected to the Egyptian. I'm getting, my whole body is vibrating right now.
nice.
And
Yeah.
David Wilcox had a big discussion about the pyramids in Egypt and all the information he's accessed and the wisdom involved, who created them, how they were formed, and everything. It was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. We can all tap into that too. That knowledge is there, it's available. And again, it's who you're being as a consciousness. We're not bound by these bodies. So if that's your intention to know, what that information or any information in the universe, really, it's kind of you place the intention in your meditation, and then you go and you can explore, you can journey, and you can get downloads and those knowings. And then it's a matter of, receiving, trusting. And I always recommend writing it down so you remember.
Yes, I had to breathe in trust the other day, breathe in the energy of trust. And then I woke up inside my, I heard I'm whole and complete. This was just a few days ago. I'm whole and complete. It's amazing.
Mm.
Just amazing. But thank you so much. I love you.
Mm.
I love your energy and your wisdom, and I feel very connected to you.
Oh,
We must
thank
have
you,
been
Patricia.
friends
Yeah.
sometime.
I love you too. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that. What a powerful experience you're having.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I see Destiny with her hand up.
Hi, Waxéla.
Hi, Destiny.
Hi. I have also had a walk-in experience, but mine seems to be with a lot of interference. I
Okay.
had to clear out an alien slam-in, a demon shove-in, and currently it's almost like, okay, I have my main timeline, and off my main timeline, there are like offshoots of false timelines where beings are able to come in and literally, so I'll clear, and then these beings, it's almost like they come in the back door and the side door, underneath, inside. And so these timelines need to be basically disconnected from my main timeline.
Okay, let me ask you this, and thank you for sharing that. What part of you is hosting those beings?
I'm gonna say it's a past life, because it's almost like I can hear, it's like okay, so it's a past life, but it's also got to do with the occupant that was in my body prior to right now. So I'm actually dealing with the old ego. So I have my old ego from the occupant, and I have like trauma and different patterns from the old occupant.
Okay. So you're speaking as the walk-in, and the original has some stuff to clear, and it's your job to clear it if you're going to stay, right? Am I getting that right?
That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is a situation where it can get pretty, there's a lot of shadow,
Yeah.
involved, and maybe that's why the original
So
owner of the body is like, okay, I'm done, someone else can take this on.
yeah.
And you're the lucky winner, so congratulations on getting the body, and now you get to clean it up, right? That's
Yeah.
part of the contract.
Yeah.
So first of all, I really want to say that mindset is super important in this, and to step into the mindset of it's all happening for me all the time, and the universe is working in my favor all of the time, and everything that I experience is the result of the universe working something through for me or helping me with something that I need to learn. And so instead of looking at it, like, I know you used the word, what was it, slamming and,
Love it.
yeah, those sound like things that have been done to you. Whereas I'd love to have you shift your mindset to, oh, these beings have something to share or something, yeah, they have something to do with my experience of being here. So even, even if it's a demonic presence, that presence cannot stay demonic or dark in the presence of great love. And I know it's not easy to just go from fear or feeling victimized to love, and there's a gap, right?
Yeah.
But there is a way, and I did this myself when I was learning to deal with the galactics that would show up that scared me, because I would go into adrenaline, especially at night, and they would always show up at night in my bedroom, and I would go into fear. And I wanted to conquer that, because at some point I was afraid to go to sleep, and that just wasn't working. So I learned to project love to anything that shows up. And this is something I practice during the day. It's a practice, not, it's not something you can do when you're suddenly freaked out and you're like in adrenaline, flight or fight. So
It's
you have
like,
to, you practice ahead of time. And then you begin to see that all beings, when offered love, there, one of two things usually will happen. They'll either be uncomfortable and leave if they're not of love, or they will sort of melt into the truth of who they are, which is love. And so you get to practice being the loving light being that you are. You get to practice, holding more light, holding more love. If you're a walk-in, then you have access to a huge capacity of light. And so these, in my, like what I feel like is probably going on, these are old aspects of self, or aspects of the former owner of the body's self, as you're an aspect of that same self, that need healing, that need love, that need, they're looking for attention. And sometimes they show up with, gnashing their teeth and scraping their claws.
they're
But
very parasitic. They're very, okay, this is my main problem, is they're just very parasitic to where it's just like literally very draining. So these
Okay.
timelines, these offshoots of timelines are literally like allowing my life force to be drained, you know? So it's very tiring to try and continue to be pushing love out all day long when you're constantly getting,
Yeah.
clearing and yeah.
So
Whew.
who would you need to be, or in what way of being would you need to adopt in order to feel like you had these beings handled? What are some ways of being? And there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just working through it with you to give you some tools. So if you can think of like even think of, okay, if somebody that you knew was dealing with some, either like some naughty children, or some difficult people in their lives, difficult family members that are wreaking havoc in their life and draining them, what ways of being would work best to handle those types of people?
Well, definitely compassion and acceptance.
Okay.
Yeah, compassion, forgiveness is a big one. Um, and I think you're definitely right. I mean, to me, it feels like they're like aspects that I have dealt with in past lives that at the time maybe I asked for them to be there, but now I'm choosing differently. I choose to not be that same individual. There was a lot of karma related to fear, and that I allowed a lot of things to come in and just let other beings take over. So there's a lot of power issues that I'm dealing with. So I'm dealing with a lot of fear and trying to stand in my power with all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Destiny, who you are is divine, powerful, compassionate, loving. You have so many guides, angelic beings, the hosts of light, ascended masters, the Egyptian gods and goddesses that are here to assist in your ascension all around you. You're not a lone wolf. You do not have to do it alone. And I invite you to open up to receive help from all of those that I just mentioned, and also possibly finding some practitioners, a Reiki master or a shamanic healer, a cord cutter, uh, all of those types of people, you know, whatever resonates for you, to help you, to assist you. And then also working with yourself in your mindset, because you are experiencing being affective or victimized by these beings. And these beings are wanting your attention. They're looking for something from you. What they're really looking for is liberation. And you have access to that. So you can assist them in that, you know, clearing and in finding their way to the light. And this is something that I do, and I'd be happy to assist you with. And also, I want you to get your power so that you know that anytime one of these beings comes to you, you have the tools, you know how to not be victimized or fall into that, oh my gosh, it's, you know, it's after me, and that fear. And you have the self-empowerment, the courage, and the knowing that I am divine light, and there's nothing to fear here. And I also honor and get that it can be scary, and I've had those experiences as well. Is that helpful?
Oh my gosh, yeah. What? Oh my gosh. No, I'm just so grateful that you had this call tonight. Like, I so needed this right now. I mean, you have no idea. This was like a blessing for real. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're
And just to be
welcome.
able to speak about it, just
Yeah.
even to be able to just say it to somebody else is like liberating in itself, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Waxéla. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome. It's wa-shay-la. The X is like an SH, and you're welcome to email me for, you know, for further support if you need it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Destiny. And sending you lots of love. I see Star with a hand up.
Star.
Hi, I'm not sure if you remember me.
Hi, Star. Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
I'm very glad I'm here because you just it's really weird that she asked that in the words that came out of your mouth just now. So I'm going through a difficult time. You know my story. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and I started doing quantum healing and fit and algorithms, and it seems like every time I go to a quantum healing weekend, I lose somebody else in my life that I love that was a negative influence around me. And so I'm facing being alone for the first time really ever in my life. And wow, I'm trying not to cry. So
Yeah.
I'm really alone now. Like, I'm so isolated. I moved for safety reasons and to get better, and I'm sober and I'm clean now, and you inspire me, and I share my story now with other women, and I empower them now. But sometimes it's hard for me to believe what I'm talking about, like all of the work I'm doing, but I'm still struggling with my heart. I have abandonment issues, and so when I love really hard, and I just kicked my boyfriend out last week, and family members are dying, and it's overwhelming. I feel crazy because at the same time I'm going through changes, the transformation, transitioning, I guess. My gifts are starting to come through with more quantum healing that I do, more meditating, and I have maintained a positive mind throughout it all. And it's really weird because when things happen, I put down tobacco and I tell creator, you know, everything always works out for me, but I really need your help. And then 20 minutes later, I had a friend call me. She's like, what do you need? I'm like, wow, right? Like it works. But my question is like, how do I not feel so alone
Yeah.
while I'm changing? Because not a lot of my friends understand the
Well,
gifts.
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to say you inspire me. You inspire me. And
Thank you.
you are, you know, the courage to change your life in such a huge way is, you know, you're really an example. And I want to acknowledge you for all that you've done and the stand that you've made for yourself and for the other women that you're helping. Really
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and so I get it as we evolve and we no longer tolerate people treating us as less than deserving, as less than who we are. Yeah, people will fall out of your life. And just know that as that happens, that's a blessing. It's a good thing. And the new people that are showing up in your life are supportive and loving and a much higher frequency. And they may not be physically present yet, but they are. They
I have
are.
an amazing support system, but because of COVID,
Yeah.
I'm in Ontario, so we're still in lockdown right now, and I can't even go to the water to offer my tobacco to the water because my beach is closed down right now. Like the trauma I already had was an issue, and I was just learning how to cope with it, like fix it through energy work. And then this pandemic is just adding more pressure because like to find a trauma informed counselor in human trafficking, it's not around here. So I still haven't done counseling for this. I do fit, I do quantum, I do whatever I possibly can to move the feelings, um, and let it flow out of me. I have made myself like I was lactose intolerant, and I even fixed that because I apparently that's mommy issues. So I fixed my mommy issues. I just can't fix the heart. The heart.
Yeah. Give yourself grace. You know, you're doing so much. No, you know, just no judgment on how long it takes. You're clearing probably, you know, certainly this all of this lifetime stuff, but also you might have come in with these patterns from past lives,
Yes, I
from
have.
galactic lives, you know, so just have, you know, have patience with yourself, have patience with your heart, have patience with, you know, and not judgment for the process. You're doing everything beautifully. You've gotten yourself sober, you've gotten yourself out of your destructive relationships. That's an incredible thing. You know, just really, I want to acknowledge you and honor you for that. And you're contributing to other women to help them. And, you know, just your life is meaningful and new people will come, you know, that will be so much better and supportive. And yes, we're in a time where you know, the world is odd, and to not be able to go to the water is very
Heart.
difficult. I get that. And it's temporary. You will get to go again. So just use this time to cultivate your heart, to be gentle and loving with yourself, to honor where you are and take baby steps and go within and ask yourself, okay, you know, what do I need today? And just self-love, self-care, and, you know, baby steps. And when you take a step back, be loving and generous and graceful with yourself and know that you're doing your best and you're doing amazing.
Thank you. Um, the last part of it is the nightmares that come with it. Um, I have lots of nightmares, night terrors. Um, I used to have good dreams. I used to dream things before it happened, but now they're just, I think they're attached to the fear. It's not that I think, I know they're attached to the fear. And sorry. And how do I get out of that state after I wake up? Because sometimes I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and I'm so scared I don't go back to sleep until the next night. Um,
Mm, yeah.
so like, how do I, like, it really messes up my vibe for the day. Like, I can't even do my work. Like, I just am stuck in a dark place.
Well, there are some things you can do to set up your dream time to, to hopefully avoid having those experiences. So if you can get into a meditative space before you go to sleep, listen, I think guided meditation, affirmative, like some really positive, affirmative things before bed. Don't watch any like negativity on the news. Don't watch any, unplug your Wi-Fi if you have Wi-Fi, kind of like protect yourself. And then you can put yourself in a bubble, like an energetic bubble, and you can claim that this is my sacred space. You can call in your guides, you can call in your ascension guides, the ascended masters, the angelics, whoever you work with, to hold space for you while you sleep. So you're setting up your mind, you're setting up your body, you're setting up your energy field, and then you can shield yourself too. You could put layers of shield around you. Just do whatever feels right that will help you buffer your energetic field. And I also highly recommend golden light. Like I'm seeing the column of golden light around you, the Christ consciousness pillar, to just really support you through your sleep, calling in all of those, super awesome support angelics, and just letting them hold space for you. Again, you're stepping into a space where you're feeling alone, but you're not wanting to be alone anymore. So sometimes inviting the angelics and the galactics that are ascension guides to hold space for you also opens the door for people, for new supportive people, to allow yourself to receive. And you're stepping into a time where it's really important for you to be able to receive in a healthy way as well.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, setting
Thank you.
yourself. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Star.
Thank you. And thank you for the invite. I'm very happy I found it here.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Sending you so much love. And if you want, come hang out with us anytime. We meet twice a week, so we're here for you.
Yeah.
I see Randy.
I'd love for you
Randy.
to send me a link if possible.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We'll find a way. I'll put one in the chat. Randy, go ahead, brother.
Okay,
Uncle.
thank you very much. Thank you, nephew. Really, and I felt led to address this to Star. Star, I do have a stepdaughter who is a survivor and a granddaughter who is currently being trafficked. And so we love you, girl. And sending you all the strong vibes, the health, the love, everything. Sending your way. So
Thank you so much for that, Randy. Thank you. So I think I don't see any other hands up. I have one other question that I just want to ask before we do our closing prayer. But I've always wondered about shape shifting. I hear people talk about it, and I also feel like a lot of people have told me that they feel like every year I'm an entirely new person, and that even sometimes day to day they feel that way. But I guess I can see what they're saying. Is that what shape shifting is?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense. So, shape shifting is projecting your consciousness into another body, basically. So, or shamanism, it's if you want to experience being an eagle and the eagle's flying and you see it, you can go into a meditative state and project your consciousness into that eagle and be the eagle. So you're shape shifting into that. And actually, a highly adept shapeshifter can do this we'll say from their meditation room at home and project into, it's kind of like an astral projection. I don't know if that's the right term, but you're projecting your consciousness into, it could be an animal. You can do it to other people. I don't recommend that. I think there might be some karma that goes with that, but temporarily use the body, usually of an animal. And then, you can send messages that way. You can sort of, have an experience of being other than what, the human experience. That is, I think, the way shape shifting is usually used. And then, like the example that I gave about trying on the different bodies of the different gods in the Egyptian temple, that's a type of shape shifting. It's taking your consciousness and putting it in a different body, basically.
Thank you so much for that explanation. And the last question I have before we do our closing prayer is, how can everybody find you? Is there anything like on your journey right now that you could use support with, that the Quantum Healing Collective could help you with, or anything that you can think of?
Oh, that's such a great offering. I am, I do summits and podcasts, so I'm always kind of looking for people that that would be amazing to bring into to those the summits and podcasts that I do, and they have
We have
different
such a good network of people,
Yeah, I
so
know you do.
yeah, we'll link you
So-
up. Anybody that you think
Oh,
of, just
awesome.
let us know.
Yeah, thank you. I would love that. That'd be very helpful. And if you want to join me, I do have a YouTube channel. I have a free video on there. It was a class I did, Portal to New Lemuria. And New Lemuria is an experience of, it's a state of the new earth. I like to call it a state of the new earth, but a state of being, not a state of boundaries or borders. So I have a free class I recently did on my YouTube channel if anyone's interested in exploring new earth concepts and alternate realms that are here existing now. And then if you want to join my email list, I send out multiple times a week, just different things that I participate in, such as this, and also, tips and my podcast stuff. And that's on my website, wa-shay-la-sananda.com. I have a join page. So if somebody wants to
Beautiful.
join the list.
Thank you so much. I did see Brother Joe put his hand up, so I gotta see what he has for a question real quick before we close out.
Honestly, it's not so much of a question as I just really wanted to thank you, Oshayla, for being on like the leading edge of thought and opening the door for so many people, because I truly believe that this ascension is happening really quick. And I'm seeing, even in what people are saying this evening, there's a lot of people who are experiencing a lot of the weight of it. And if we weren't having these conversations, that could probably break a lot of people. So the fact that we can have the space and you have the knowledge to help people through some of these really crazy times that I don't think any of us are really, I think some of us knew it was coming, or subconsciously we know it's coming. It's been in our vortex, but it can be a little heavy when it gets here. So to have your knowledge and to have all these people have the ability to ask you these questions and to have the body of an answer that you had to give to them is just phenomenal. So I'm so grateful for your leading edge of thought, Waxéla, and having the courage to do so. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you so much for that, Joe. And something I want to say, if I can, really quickly about the ascension process. Every time we level up, every time we move up, ascend our frequency, so bring our frequency up, all of the shadow that we have held that has been in the way of us being at that level of light comes up to be cleared. It doesn't mean something's wrong or something. It's naturally, the dark cannot exist in the light. And if we've been at a certain level, we've been able to hold a certain amount of shadow, and then we level up to hold more light. Well, guess what? All of that shadow we've been holding is going to come out and rear its ugly head. So this is why ascension symptoms and like getting confronted with all of these things keeps happening over and over as we move up through those layers. So it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just the way it works.
Totally hear that. So thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you, Brother Joe. I do see one more hand up if you have time for one more. Sorry
Sure,
to keep coming
yeah.
in. This will be the last one. Lisa, go ahead.
Hello, Oshayla. Hi, Kyle. Thanks so much. This was just really, really wonderful. I love your energy too. And yeah, we would love to have you on our podcast. It's called Journey Beyond the Veil, and just have you talk about some of these things because they're so important right now. And you know, um, having a different perspective of life is it's important to be able to navigate. And so I love the work that you're doing. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I'd be honored. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Lisa. I echo everything Lisa and Joe said. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time with us. So what we do to close out our meetings is we put our hands up and we try to lock arms energetically, and then we do a quick prayer. So if you guys could all join me. We dedicate the merit of this meeting to all of those awakening at this precious time. May our efforts to better ourselves help shift the planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity. So thank you, everybody, so much for coming. Thank you, wa-shay-la, for all that incredible wisdom. And everybody new here, thank you for just joining us. This has been incredible. So thank you all.